Let's start by understanding that there are many creation stories. There's a creation story that goes that there were some particles so small that we can barely see them that collided one day and created a massive explosion. There was a big bang and the universe as we know it came to be. Here is another creation story quite similar to the one that we're going to read in the Bible later, but maybe gets it slightly wrong. I'm not sure what you think. It's from the film Noah.
Let me tell you a story. The first story my father told me and the first story that I told each of you. In the beginning, there was nothing. Nothing but the silence of an infinite darkness. But the breath of the Creator fluttered against the face of the void, whispering, "Let there be light." And light was. And it was good. The first day. And then the formless light began to take on substance and shape. The second day. And our world was born. Our beautiful, fragile home. And a great warming light nurtured its days. And a lesser light ruled the nights. And there was evening and morning. Another day. And the waters of the world gathered together. And in their midst emerged dry land. Another day passed. And the ground put forth the growing things, a thick blanket of green stretching across all creation. And the waters, too, teemed with life. Great creatures of the deep that are no more. Vast multitudes of fish, some of which may still swim beneath these seas. And soon, the sky was streaming with birds. And there was evening, and there was morning, a fifth day. Now the whole world was full of living beings. Everything that creeps, everything that crawls, and every beast that walks upon the ground. And it was good. It was all good. There was light and air and water and soil, all clean and unspoiled. Your plants and fish and fowl and beast, each after their own kind, all part of the greater whole, all in their place, and all was in balance. It was paradise, the jewel in the Creator's palm. And the Creator made man, and by his side woman, father and mother of us all. He gave them a choice. Follow the temptation of darkness, or hold on to the blessing of light. But they ate from the forbidden fruit. Their innocence was extinguished. And so for the 10 generations since Adam, sin has walked within us. Brother against brother. Nation against nation. Man against creation. We murdered each other. We broke the world. We did this. Man did this. Everything that was beautiful, everything that was good, we shattered. Now, it begins again.
The tradition is that the first 5 books of the Bible were written by Moses, so we're going to try to get back to the question that Moses was possibly asking us, which is, what does he want to tell us about the nature of God, people, creation, and the relationship between them? We're going to do that by trying to compare the Genesis creation story with one from its time to see what that teaches us in terms of comparisons. So this is Moses standing on Mount Nebo in Moab, looking over the river at the promised land, knowing that he will not enter it and that the people can't go there until he has died. You have to try to read the creation story as Moses looking back to try to explain how the people got to where they are now. This map shows the entire world of the Old Testament, which is quite small. The New Testament expands into Europe and into Asia and a little bit into Africa, but the Old Testament world is what we see in the map. In terms of human empires, Babylon and Egypt are the two rising powers during the time that we're told this story in the first 5 books of the Bible, and it might be interesting for you to see that the place that Abraham starts out in, which is is very close to Babylon, and this is the dominant culture of the age into which he was later born.
First this, God created the heavens and earth, all you see, all you don't see. Earth was a soup of nothingness, a bottomless emptiness, an inky blackness. God's spirit brooded like a bird above the watery abyss. God spoke, light, and light appeared. God saw that light was good and separated light from dark. God named the light day. He named the dark night. It was evening. It was morning. Day 1. God spoke, sky, in the middle of the waters, separate water from water. God made sky. He separated the water under sky from the water above sky. And there it was. He named sky the heavens. It was evening. It was morning. Day 2. God spoke, separate water beneath heaven, gather into one place, land, appear. And there it was. God named the land earth. He named the pooled water ocean. God saw that it was good. God spoke, earth, green up, grow all varieties of seed-bearing plants, every sort of fruit-bearing tree. And there it was. Earth produced green, seed-bearing plants, all varieties, and fruit-bearing trees of all sorts. God saw that it was good. It was evening, it was morning. Day 3. God spoke, lights, come out, shine in heaven's sky, separate day from night, mark seasons and days and years, lights in heaven's sky to give light to earth. And there it was. God made 2 big lights, the larger to take charge of day, the smaller to be in charge of night. And he made the stars. God placed them in the heavenly sky to light up earth and oversee day and night, to separate light and dark. God saw that it was good. It was evening. It was morning. Day 4. God spoke, swarm, ocean, with fish and all sea life, birds, fly through the sky over earth. God created the huge whales, all the swarm of life in the waters, and every kind and species of flying birds. God saw that it was good. God blessed them. Prosper, reproduce, fill ocean. Birds, reproduce on earth. It was evening. It was morning. Day 5. God spoke, earth, generate life, every sort and kind, cattle and reptiles and wild animals, all kinds. And there it was, wild animals of every kind, cattle of all kinds, every sort of reptile and bug. God saw that it was good. God spoke, let us make human beings in our image, make them reflecting our nature, so they can be responsible for the fish in the sea, the birds in the air, the cattle, and yes, earth itself, and every animal that moves on the face of the earth. God created human beings. He created them godlike, reflecting God's nature. He created them male and female. God blessed them. Prosper, reproduce, fill earth, take charge. Be responsible for fish in the sea and birds in the air, for every living thing that moves on the face of earth. Then God said, I've given you every sort of seed-bearing plant on earth and every kind of fruit-bearing tree, given them to you for food, to all animals and all birds, everything that moves and breathes. I give whatever grows out of the ground for food. And there it was. God looked over everything he had made. It was so good, so very good. It was evening. It was morning. Day 6. Heaven and earth were finished, down to the last detail. By the seventh day, God had finished his work. On the seventh day, he rested from all his work. God blessed the seventh day. He made it a holy day, because on that day, he rested from his work, all the creating God had done. This is the story of how it all started, of heaven and earth when they were created.
At a very similar time to the Genesis creation story, the Babylonians were penning theirs. It's called the Enuma Elish, and it has many similarities as well as differences from that that's found in Genesis. By comparing the two, maybe we can learn something about what Moses is trying to tell us in the first chapter of Genesis. Like every other great ancient culture, the Babylonians didn't understand God as being one God who was all-powerful and who couldn't die. Instead, there were many gods, and although they were immortal in theory, they could kill each other. So the Babylonian gods have a lot of battles, and Marduk is the god who wins out. So he is simply the most powerful of the gods. He decides that he wants to show his power and might by making something, and so he creates the heavens and the earth. He does this by taking the spine of the female god Tiamat, breaking it literally in two and separating earth from sky. And then by speaking he makes things in an order. First he makes light, then he makes sky, then land and sea and plants and trees, then the moon and the stars, then the fish and the birds, and then the animals. Exactly the same order as we find in Genesis. And then finally he makes people. He does that by taking the blood of a slaughtered half-god, half-man who was sent to kill him, called Kingu, and he takes Kingu's blood, spreads it on the mud, rubs it all together, and makes human beings to be his slaves so they can build palaces for him. How does creation come about? It's a massive act of violence and arrogance of a male god over a female god to show how powerful and important he is. What words would you use to describe it? Violent? Ugly? Arrogant? How does it describe God? Well, power but not all powerful, but in terms of intention there's no love, compassion, there's no care, there's nothing beautiful about what happens. How does it describe people? Well, they're slaves, servants, they're a convenience, they're quite lost, but there was no wonderful in the beginning for them to compare what they had with. The relationship between God and creation is that it is an act of arrogance to show how powerful God is and nothing else. The relationship between God and people is very simply that they are God's slaves to be used when he feels like it. And the relationship between people and creation is that as well as being at the mercy of the whims of the gods, people are also at mercy of the fate that might befall them, because creation might at any time do something strange or unusual or unexpected, and before they know it, they lose their lives. Now go through the same 7 questions and answer them about the Genesis creation story.